Things are good. I feel like we're in a good place right now. I trust him. I really do.
Yeah, how you going? Yeah, it's Monday, the 6th of May, 2013, and it's 11:08 or 23:08 Navy time, and we're starting a new record. Super bad. Now, I've already spoken to about last on Friday about the songs that are on there, but we can go to the packaging. Have you been down to Woolies or Coles or going down with those food aisles and you look at the packaging that goes around some food? There's a lot of packaging hiding lots that's in the food that you just about to buy and put on the food table. Now, have you ever considered how many hands has been on that food and what's gone into that food to get there in the first place? Let's go sultana. Sultana from a grape. Now, we have the grapevine. We also have the fertilizer that goes into the ground of the grapevine to make the grapes a little bit better than they would be. They have the pickers of the grapes. They put them into the trucks. The trucks take them off to the heat rooms. They heat the grapes up to turn them into sultanas. So then it goes from the manufacturer or the growers of the sultana to, for instance, Sunbeam can be a company that has these sultanas. They go into a machine, and the machine then provides the amount of sultanas to go into each bag. Now, in each bag is then the sultanas. Now, that bag could be, I'm here in Nara, could be on the other side of Australia being packed, ready to be put in the shelves of Woolies, Coles, IGA, any one of those stores before it actually gets to me. Now, in food, did you realize there's an amount of allowable substances or foreign material that can be in those components for it to hit your dinner table? Feces. We can go through them. Cereals can have sand in it. Doesn't say what percentage of sand it is, but it could have sand in it. So, because when you think about it, the wheat or the rice goes into storage, it's pumped on concrete. So there's an amount of sand that can filter through those seeds before they go into process. Dried pears can have insects in them, insect parts, insect bodies. There's a percentage of allowable of these items allowed to go into these pears for it to still be sold as being dried pears. Sultanas can have insect larvae and insect fragments. Flour. Flour has traces of aluminium paint and animal hairs. Now, I'm not sure about animals' hairs, but I assume the paint, aluminium paint, will be from the storage containers which they go into before they become, as in wheat, before they become flour. Corn flour, metal fragments, cake mix, Hessian material, because the cake mix goes into Hessian bags. It used to go in Hessian bags, but now it goes into paper bags. So the Hessian may not be there anymore, but there is a liable a percentage of this Hessian is allowed to be in the food for it to be sold. Cocoa, sand and charred material. Strawberries, fibrous plant material, and ants. So you're allowed to have ants in this food. Now we could have, well, that will be about it. So, next time we go down to Woolies to buy that sultana, besides the grape being grown in your own backyard and you're taking those grapes off and then drying them, there must be a really good process to be able to do it, and ensuring that you have the freshest of ingredients. Just think where your sultana has come from. I'm sure it will taste just as fine. But today we have on Super Bad SLADE. Mama, we're all crazy now. So here's SLADE. We're all crazy now.
Just up as Father Christmas. This is Richard from our sound department. Evening, Richard. Evening. It's rave up time once again. Mama, we're all crazy now. The fabulous SLADE.
I don't want to drink my whiskey like you do. I don't need to spend my money, but still do. Don't stop now, come on. Another drop now, come on. I want it all now, so come on. That's right, that's right. I said, Mama, we're all crazy now. I said, Mama, we're all crazy now. I said, Mama, we're all crazy now. You told me a fool fire water won't hurt me. You teased me, no, I lady be dirty. Don't stop now, come on. Another wrong now, come on. I want it all now, so come on. That's right, that's right. Crazy mama, crazy now. Crazy now. I want to leave my missing out here too. I love you. Don't stop now, come on. Another song now, come on. I want it all now, so come on. That's right, that's right. I said, Mama, we're all crazy now. I said, Mama, we're all crazy now.
Yeah, that was SLADE. SLADE are a British rock band from Wolverhampton, Walsall. They rose to prominence during the glam rock era of the 1970s with 17 consecutive top 60 hits and 6 number ones. The British hit singles and albums names them as the most successful British group of the 1970s based on sales of singles. They were the first act to achieve their 3 singles enter at number 1. All 6 of the band's chart toppers were penned by Noddy Holder and Jim Lee. Total UK sales stand at 6,520,171. I wonder who bought the 1. Maybe I should go and buy one just to make it 2. And the best-selling single, Merry Christmas Everybody, has sold in excess of 1 million copies. Following an unsuccessful move to the United States in 1975, SLADE's popularity waned but was unexpectedly revived in 1980 when they last-minute replacements for Ozzy Osbourne at the Reading Rock Festival. The band later acknowledged this to have been one of the highlights of their career. The original lineup split in 1992, but the band performed the following year as SLADE 2. The band has continued with a number of lineup changes to the present day. They have not shortened the group name back to SLADE. A number of diverse artists have called SLADE as an influence, including grunge icons Nirvana and the Smashing Pumpkins, punk pioneers the Ramones, Sex Pistols, the Undertones, the Runaways, the Clash, Glam, Followers, Kiss, Motley Crue, Twisted Sister, Quiet Riot, Poison, Def Leppard, pop rock stalwarts, The Replacements, Cheap Trick, and Oasis. Now, there's a fair bit more on the band if you go to WikiLeaks and just type it in. And their career is still in play. Yes, and the credits for SLADE, also the In-Betweens, 1966-1969, so they had another name, In-Betweens, known as Ambrose SLADE, 1969, SLADE 2, 1992 to 2002. Origin, Wolverhampton, West Midlands, United Kingdom, Genoise, hard rock, glam rock. Years active, 1969, present. Labels, Fontana, Polydor, Cotillion, RCA, CBS, Cheapskate, Barn, and Majestic. Website, www.amazingslade.net. Members, Dave Hill, Don Powell, John Berry, Mel McNulty. Past members, Noddy Holder, Jim Lee, Steve O'Reilly, Steve Macon, Craig Fenney, Trevor Holiday, and Dave Glover. That's SLADE. Tomorrow we have, for those rockers, the Destiny Shine. Oh, the Destiny song by Band of Light. Now, talking about numbers and bands, I noticed that there still comes up with the numbers. There was a saying many years ago, Bob Hawke. He was a prominent Prime Minister for Australia. And he was travelling on an aeroplane to Cairns. When the aeroplane had problems in the engines, it dived into the ocean. All died except Bob Hawke. But he swallowed enough water that he was in a coma. He hadn't survived. He survived the crash completely. Was placed into hospital in a coma. 7 years later, he wakes up and there's Paul Keating standing over Bob Hawke saying, "Welcome back to the world, Bob Hawke. We've missed you so much." Bob Hawke says, "How are we going? How's the budget?" And Paul Keating says, our budget's gone from the red to the black and we're booming. Then he says, "Where's my beer?" So Paul Keating gives him the beer. And he says, "How much does the beer cost these days?" And Paul Keating comes back and says, 100 yen. So in other words, in those days, the people who were buying up the properties in Cairns and around those areas were the Japanese. So the assumption was the Japanese will come back and do the yen, change our currency from the dollar to the yen. Now, in World War II, there were notes, or dollar notes, made up in Japan. They were half the size of the Australian pound. And what the intention was to flood Australia with these dollar notes. They actually had dollar notes on them. I had a few of them, but they got pinched because they were printing out money for it to be used when Japan was going to take over the country. Because Japan wasn't going to take over the country and still have the Australian pound. They wanted to use the dollar, so they had all these dollar notes made up with Japanese faces on it instead of Aussie faces, but it said the Australian dollar. Now, it's really strange going back to then, and to know where Japan is now, to know that North Korea could have a battle right next door, and could actually take into consideration that, well, Japan might be a threat to either of them, or China, because the Chinese still haven't forgotten what the Japanese did to their people. You think, well, such a small country like Japan, how can it be such an effect on other countries? Well, we know the effect that Japan had on Hawaii. Now, I still think along the way that Japan did not have to come into it. Japan could have stayed the isolated partner to all that's involved and let Germany work it out. And we know what happened to Germany, don't we? So, I'm still not sure why Japan came into the war, why they needed more facilities and go for America. I mean, you think, well, it's a country in its own right has all the knowledge and know-how to sell all the trunk gear that they sell now. You think what it would have been like if they didn't go to war? Would some of this equipment still be available? Because you've got to remember there was an embargo put on Japan not to spend money on defence for I think it was 50 years. Because in 1995 was the first time they were able to actually spend money on defence. So they had all this money they were saving because they weren't spending money on defence. So they had to spend it on something else. So why not spend it on something that they can invent and send out? So therefore, they're no longer a force to be reckoned with as in a fighting force, but for IT and having the rights to a lot of this equipment that's being sold as electronics. So Japan has it. All those technology, Toyota, cars and TVs and video recorders and all those things that they had. And now, because they're spending money on defence, they'll start going broke again. They'll have to find some other way of gaining money again. Because defence isn't the defence that they really require. They just need places where they can buy food. Because the land is getting really short in Japan. Because it's not a really big island, is it? So we'll get back to where we were. And today is Monday. It's Monday-itis. Tomorrow is Tuesday. And we will see you then. That was a really good 20 minutes, wasn't it? You got my thoughts, my joke, my song, and more thoughts. We'll see what's still in the brain tomorrow. See if it's all focused, because my eyes still aren't getting there as good as they used to be. so someone out there can tell me what my issue is. Alright, love is all. 6th of May, 2013, 11:28 or 23:28, and we'll catch you again tomorrow. Bye.